Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm doing a card today for Technique Junkies. It's the last day of May, and this stamp is from the May release. This is the Delicate Bouquet stamp from Technique Junkies. You can pick it up over at Technique Junkies and use my discount code TJ10Tracy to save 10% off your order. I'm going to go ahead and stamp this out. I'm going to use VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink to ink up my stamp because my plan is to emboss the Delicate Bouquet with black embossing powder. So Technique Junkies has a wide variety of stamps that you can choose from. This little bouquet is very delicate. So it has a great name. I used the Rabbit Hole Design embossing powder tool, and I applied a little bit of powder onto that paper, and then first I'm stamping it with Versa Mark ink. I want to make sure the ink is nice and sticky, so I did that. Then I go in with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink right over top. You don't have to do both steps. You can do one or the other if you want. The VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink is a pigment ink, so it stays wet for a little bit, and that makes it ideal to emboss. But often what I'll do is first hit it with a little bit of Versamark, especially if it's a brand new stamp. Brand new stamps often have a little bit of a chemical left on them, not chemical, but like a residue left on them from the process of them being created. So putting a little bit of Versamark on helps to condition them. That's more so needed with photopolymer than it is with red rubber, but I do it too with my red rubbers sometimes, not always. All right, so I have clear embossing powder. That's from Wow. Let's go ahead and put that away so I don't end up spilling it all over my desk. And we'll go ahead and get the heat tool out, and we'll heat emboss this, what we just stamped and sprinkled with embossing powder. Again, don't forget to use my discount code TJ10Tracy if you go shopping over at Technique Junkies. And that code is good on everything, and that includes Shivering Bliss sprays, stencils, Catherine Pooler inks, Eyes ink, 24 karat glitter paste. So that code is TJ10Tracy. All right, so I heat embossed this. It's delicate and it has a lot, like the image has a lot of little loops and hoops and twirls and swirls. I thought I got it all heat embossed. I thought I did a good job of making sure I melted the powder, making sure I didn't have any spots that weren't embossed. And now that I feel like I'm pretty secure in knowing that I did that okay, I'm going to go ahead and ink blend my background. Now, when I do ink blending on a background, I like to use foam dome blending tools or direct to paper drag the ink pad across. But for this, I'm using Pucker Up, and then I'm switching over to Catching Rays, and these are all Catherine Pooler inks. Next, we will put a little bit more Pucker Up back down because I went over it with the Catching Rays and it turned it a little bit more orange than I had hoped for. I definitely want that variation to be seen so that you can see that there's a rainbow of colors here. Next, we'll use Chiffon, which is a nice bright yellow. Okay, and then I go back in with Catching Rays. This is kind of like the trick to good ink blending. You have to kind of go back in with your color that you just used and blend over that line, that separation that takes away that harsh line. And then finally cummerbund. And I'm really pleased with how this looks. Isn't that just gorgeous? There's nothing like Catherine Polar inks to create a stunning ink blended background. Now I have a piece of pearlescent pink paper here. This is cardstock. I purchased it from Marco's Paper when I was at the Allentown card show. And I have a stamp from Paper Rose. It's got this scalloped frame. It's a nice thick frame. I like that about it. And I thought that would look nice as a frame around that delicate bouquet. I used that same paper then to die cut the sentiment and the sentiment shadow through my Gemini Junior. Anytime that I have a sentiment and a shadow, I'll go ahead and die cut both of them at the same time, even though I know I'm going to use a different color for either the font, the word, the sentiment, or a different color for the background, just to add contrast. I just keep the extras in my stash and use them for another time. I would say this is a mini sentiment because it is quite tiny, but it's just perfect for this card because the delicate bouquet is very dainty and you wouldn't want to overpower it with a big sentiment or a big die cut sentiment. Now I'm just taking my pokey tool and getting all the little bits out, and we've got our pink words just for you. I also have the pink shadow layer. And then off camera, I cut the shadow layer with black. So we're going to decide which looks best for our card. I do end up going with the black background and the pink pearlescent letters. I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper and put everything on top of that. Go ahead and glue it together. And I have a precision tip on my bottle of glue that allows me to go and glue this. I wouldn't call it a delicate word sentiment, just, it's small, so I definitely want to take my time and apply a minimal amount of glue and line that up on the back of the shadow. And that looks really nice. That pink really does pop right off of that a black background. All right, so now it's time to assemble everything. I have to trim a little bit off of the panel so that it'll fit behind my die cut frame. And then once I have that the right size, which takes me a while, I don't want to trim off too much because then I won't have anything to glue it to. I just go around and around taking little, very small amounts off until I get the size that I need. It's better to just be conservative about this. Don't go chopping it real close because then you'll have a gap and that will look weird. But this one looks pretty good with this pink pearlescent frame. It really sets it off. Okay, so I'm going to glue the panel once I trim it. Again, I spent a lot of time trimming this. I wanted you to see. I don't just go in there and start hacking. I take a little bit at a time till I get the exact size that I need. Okay, and I'm going to put the glue on the frame, not on the card base, not on the card panel, I mean. And then carefully, I will align the panel. That's the way it's nice and center. And then the sentiment looks great. I'm really pleased with how this card turned out. It is a so super cute little card. Next thing I have to do is glue the frame and the ink panel onto my black A2 card base, which looks great. I just love this little card. The colors really pop. And then the sentiment just fits perfectly on top. So, if you're new to my channel, I'd love it if you would subscribe and ring the bell so that you're notified of my future videos. Also, if you could please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment. What do you think about this card? What do you think about the ink blending in the background? I'm grabbing some small rhinestones and placing them around. I'm going to put 5 down. And the rhinestones are from my friend Chow. She sent me a whole bunch and a lot of different colors. And I'm just using a Marvy jewel picker as I make my way around the bouquet, placing a gem here and there. I'm keeping them close to the flowers and make a nice circle around the bouquet. So that's what the card looks like. Hang on, I'll show you a still shot. It's just a simple card, but it definitely packs a lot of punch because the color is so vibrant and the image is just so perfect and so sweet. And I think that it came together well with all the elements that I used. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.